right, we are back. We are back. We are back. Let me find my screen. Here we go. All right. Hi, Dennis. So we are back with our fourth segment of author interviews for The Mom in Me. So welcome back. Welcome back. And these ladies also deserve some pom poms. Why am I only with my pom poms? Oh, okay. Yay! So this has been a long day, but it has been very productive. It has been very exciting, especially since we have made it to #1 Amazon best-selling authors. Woo! Yes, pom poms and effects. If I had my confetti, I'd be throwing it. But so congratulations to you authors. That is an amazing accomplishment. And I'm just so happy for all of you that we reached that success on today. So we are going to dive right in because we're getting excited because it's almost time for the Mama Pajama Party. So to our viewers, if you have not let us know that you have purchased your copy, you're a mom and you have some hot pajamas that you're going to be joining us this evening, please do so that we can add you to the private Mama Pajama Party. Like, we'll be in our pajamas, so it has to be a private room, right? But we're going to have an amazing time. We're going to be just cutting up, and we have an amazing game we're going to play. And that's where the grand prize is, in the Mama Pajama Party. So you want to be there. You want to be there. So we're going to get our interview started right now. Another group of amazing moms that have written in The Mom in Me. And first up is Misty Muhammad.
Hey,
Hi, Misty.
Kimberly, how are you?
Good.
And the rest of the ladies. So I'm Misty Muhammad, and the name of my chapter is From Child to With Child. And generally, I just shared my story in terms of navigating what can be a very emotional time when you're learning that your child is about to be somebody's mother. And just all the emotional stuff and turmoil, the disappointment, the stress, the worry, it's just like as parents, we see our kids, we see their life and we have so many hopes and dreams for them. And when something major like, pregnancy occurs, and there's many things that, can happen in our children's lives. But for something like that, we know it's definitely going to change their life, being that we are all mothers. And it's something that's pretty major. And so I just talk a little bit about that, how it occurred and how it happened. I didn't even find out from her that she was pregnant. And so, just kind of going into that story a little bit. And really just like I said, just talking about the emotional side of it, but also really just getting at the heart of how we as mothers or generally as parents just tend to judge our parenting through how well our children do or don't do. And so we tend to blame, ourselves a lot for their missteps and their choices and just the things that they do in their life. And then we start looking at ourselves and judging ourselves as parents. And so my chapter, I really just kind of go into detail in terms of some of my aha moments and my revelations about how nothing has anything to do with the other. They're young adults. They have a mind of their own. They're going to make decisions for themselves based on how they see the world. All we could do is try to support them as much as possible. And so that's pretty much what my chapter was about.
Yeah, you wrote it so beautifully too. And Misty was one that I reached out to Misty and I was like, you have to write about this. Because I knew, her story because her daughter was one of my mentees for years. And both her daughters were my mentees for years. And so I kind of had to watch her navigate through some of that. And, when I found out, and I think it was just before I moved to Hawaii that I was finding
It
out about
was.
that whole thing. Yeah, because you guys came to my going away dinner. But so I wanted you to be able to share with other parents that may find themselves in that situation. It's like, okay, you didn't die, you didn't kill her. And you have your beautiful little sugar drop, your grandbaby that you talk
Yeah.
about in the chapter. And so I wanted you, because that can be one of the most devastating things,
Yeah.
to find out that your child is like your baby's having a baby, and so I just wanted you to be able to speak to that audience, because there's some mother out there that's just getting the news, and doesn't
Yeah.
see, how her child is going to be able to make it through that, or how how their family is going to make it through that. And so I just thought it was a very important story to share, to give that perspective, another perspective of how you can deal with that, other than being, utterly devastated the whole entire time. So
Yeah.
I just applaud you for sharing that. I thank you for saying yes. Missy's like, what?
Thank
You
you
want me
for,
to write?
yeah, thank you for reaching out. And I definitely wanted to
Yeah.
say that before you moved on to the next mom, because this was really a interesting exercise. When you asked, I was just like, Lord, what am I gonna write about? And then I was just sitting there like, all you did was have like 50,000 meltdowns. And so I was just like, nobody wants to hear about that. But then when I really thought about it, I was like, well, no, you came through it. And when you
Yep.
look at where you guys are now, like she's successful. She's about to graduate from cosmetology school, and she's
Yeah.
working in her field, and it's like everything's okay. So
Everything's
it's just kind of
okay.
looking at it like just how God can bring you through those situations. And so I really wanted to kind of walk you through
And you did. You did a
the
great
process.
job.
So but thank you though for having me as a part of the
You're
this
welcome. You're
project. It was very
welcome.
cathartic.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. So next up, I think my screen changed a little. So next up, we have Cheryl Hurley. You were up next, Cheryl. I don't know if you were originally, but my pictures changed on the screen for some reason. So you're up next. You're who I see.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Hurley, and again, I am humbled to be a part of this book anthology project with Kimberly LeBou and all of you. I've worked with Kimberly on several projects, and she's just a phenomenal woman. So when I heard about this project, The Mom and Me, there was something that clicked on the inside that said, you need to own your voice and tell your story. So the chapter that I've written is called Strengthened by the Struggle, Parenting a Child with Depression. And as a part of the last segment of interviews, all day long, I've chimed in and I've heard the interviews. And sometimes you can go through situations as a mom and you could feel so very alone. But as I listened to every story that was shared, I felt a kindred connection with all of the moms, that even though our situations may have been different, our stories of survival and the practical tools and the tips that have been provided all connected. In my chapter, I talk about some very highlights about, having a daughter who struggled with depression. What the difficult part of it was is that the missed signals, because this young lady, who was to this day a beautiful woman, had some things going on that I forsake or misinterpreted them because everything seemed to be in order. Bright as a whip, on point, but then there were certain things during the developmental stages as she began to mature into like maybe the teenager years. I started to find her to be somewhat oppositional, and I thought it was just being rebellious, not realizing, because I'm a type A person, I like to cross the T's and dot the I's. So there was an expectation as a parent of certain things to happen, and when they didn't happen, my assumption was that you were trying to be rebellious or you were trying to be difficult, not recognizing that she was struggling with depression. Later on, when I found out what it was, as you can imagine, I was one of those moms that struggled with guilt.
Yep.
I felt like I had failed my daughter.
Mhm.
When I listened to some of the stories that were already told, I so connected with it. When Kelly shared her story, and she said that her daughter came home one day and said, Mom, I just don't feel right. Something's wrong. My daughter never told me that something was wrong. There were just behavioral things that happened. So in my chapter, I'm not going to tell the audience a whole lot about it, but after I dealt with some of the guilt, some of the feelings of failure, and even to this day, there's certain things that come up as a person of faith, I have to go back and make sure that I put those action steps, those spiritual principles in place to make sure that I'm okay, that I'm not trying to divil in guilt, but okay, now that you know, this is how you handle it and move forward. So in my chapter, I provide action steps for readers so that if they look at certain things that they can see, they can begin to pay attention to it, not just what you hear, but what you might see, because they might not be in a position that they can communicate what's going on. And I take steps to share what it looks like for a child that struggles with depression. The other thing that's something that Cricket shared earlier that I also provide is that as moms, no matter what the difficulty is that we face, we have to make sure that we take time out to take care of ourselves, because no matter how difficult the challenges or the situation is, by faith, one, going to the scriptures, prayers, but also putting in action steps that you're caring for yourself in the process. Because when you're dealing with any type of challenge as a parent, it's so important that we don't get so emotionally engrossed and engaged with it that we forget to take care of our mental and our physical well-being so that we can be there to be the support that they need us to be. So it's something that it caught me totally by surprise because there were missed signals that I completely missed. And it wasn't that I wasn't a caring mother or concerning mother. I just missed things because the way it kind of evolved. Depression has different stages and it has different faces. So when we take the time to become educated and we learn, we can better equip our children. One of the things that happened for me on today is that one of our co-authors texted me and said that my daughter worked in your after school program in your school. And it brought tears to my eyes because sometimes I felt like my daughter wasn't paying attention to me, and she really was. But when this parent shared that her daughter said, because I watched you and I went to school with your daughter and I worked with your daughter in the after school program as well, she said that I wanted to become a teacher. And because of you, that's why I'm a teacher today. So I say to moms that even in some of the most difficult situations with your children, even though you might think that they're not paying attention, they are paying attention. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to, again, share with all of you. I connected with so many of your stories and it just touched my life. But I recognize that as a person of faith, and I am not ashamed of it, that I will say to you that this book project is being birthed at the right time in the right space for the right purpose, because each one of our stories is going to bless someone. And I know for me, if there is a mother who's struggling with a child with depression, I want her to not take responsibility and feel at fault for that, but learn as much as she can so she can be equipped to better support her daughter. So this opportunity that you provided for us, Kimberly, thank you so much, because it has put me in a better place. And I will tell you that while I was writing the chapter, I was in warfare the entire time. And everything that could possibly come against me to say, don't write the chapter, that small, still voice said, no, you need to write this chapter. So thank you again for the opportunity. And I just hope everyone's blessed by all the chapters that we share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, again, another powerful testimony that is going to certainly impact lives. Um, your chapter is just so beautifully written and daughter approved again. So thank your daughter again for me for that. And I just applaud the young girls who have made it through that struggle, that are willing to allow you to share their personal story. Because again, you know, just like I said with Kelly, it's like it wasn't just your story, it was her story too. And so I know that when you were writing, you were very concerned about that. And so it just came out so beautifully. And I think that it's going to have a major, major impact on whomever reads it. First chapter in the book, so you don't have to look far to find it. But just amazing and great, you know, nuggets that you share in there to help somebody who's going along that same journey. So thank you again for your yes. It's always so wonderful to work with you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So let's see who's here with us. Let's just take a quick breather for a second. Um, Tiffany is back with us again. Tiffany Studdard. And of course, our authors are hanging out in the room. Debbie Rice is here. Great advice, Cheryl. Equip yourself to help your child. Debbie Rice said that to Cheryl. So thank you. We just are so grateful that you guys are still showing up in the room, and that means that you're finding value in what you're hearing. And so we are so grateful. We don't take it for granted, because you could be doing anything on this Saturday. And so we're so happy that you're hanging out with us on today for the book launch of The Mom and Me. And so next up on my screen, again, it shifted. So next up is Mildred Muhammad. So you're up, Mildred. You're not last. You're muted. You're muted. There we go.
Thank you for having me to be a part of this amazing book, The Mom and Me. I'm excited to know that it's a bestseller now. I'm excited to be with all of the 21 moms who are sharing their stories to help other mothers who may feel that what they're going through is very difficult. So I'm going to start with domestic violence. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and there are a lot of mothers whose children are not with them. My story spans, the title of my chapter is Healing My Children Through Their Dad's Crime, Trial, and Execution, because my ex-husband was John Allen Muhammad, whom you know to be the DC sniper. And what a lot of people don't know is that I was the intended target. And that whole situation was a domestic violence, child custody issue. He was killing innocent people to cover up my murder so that he could come in as the grieving father and get custody of our children. So my chapter begins with the beginning, the episode that happened here with innocent people being killed, the trial, the verdict, and the execution. The one thing that I needed to do was to help my children to understand and come to terms with what their dad had come here to do, which was to kill their mother, and use innocent people in that process so that he would not be charged with that crime, which did not work out that way. My children went through a lot of people not wanting to be around them, or their children, or parents not wanting their children to be around them. And I explained to them that you have to understand that parents are only taking care of their children. And it's not a slight on you. It's just that they are being protective, and we have to allow them to do what they feel is necessary to protect their own children. One of the processes that we went through, that I took them through, was we're going to tell the truth. And you can ask me any question you want, and I will tell you the truth, even if it makes me look bad. And that's how we had to deal with that. So helping them to understand what their dad did, understanding that it's not their fault and you are not to be held accountable for his actions. We couldn't find counseling. Everybody was trying to benefit off of us. They didn't want, we couldn't have counselors. We didn't have advocates. It was pretty much that I needed to take control of the situation in order for my children to be emotionally balanced. So I went to the library, I got a book on counseling, and I learned how to counsel me and my children myself. Wow. Because I figured that if I needed them to be emotionally balanced children, then I would have to take control of that, since counselors have been telling us, or me, that they don't have a case study for what happened to us. So it's either we damage you more because we don't know what we're doing, or you go do it yourself. So I chose to do it myself. And I told my children that we have to understand that other people are not going to look at you the same. They're going to blame us, which they did. They're going to tell us that it's our fault, which they did. Wow. But we are not going to allow the opinions of other people to determine or to validate who we are. We are who we are. They are who they are. And understand that everybody is entitled to their opinion. Doesn't mean we have to accept it. Excuse me. And it doesn't mean we have to internalize it. We just have to look at it for what it is. They can't get to your dad, so they're going to blame us. And that's okay, because they're allowed to feel how they want to feel. And so are we. And I went through some steps in my book my chapter to help you to understand the process that I had to take my children through. It was my determination to make sure that they were emotionally balanced. So they wanted to talk about their dad. I had to create a safe place for that. They wanted to watch home videos. I had to create a safe place for that. I had to tell them, don't listen to what other people say. If you feel like it's something you need to tell me, then you come home and tell me and we'll talk about it. And that's how we dealt with it. We dealt with it with the truth. And the truth shall make you free, but it doesn't say the truth won't hurt. Yeah. So understanding how to process that pain, we looked up terms that they felt that they were feeling so that they could get a better understanding of that particular emotion, so that they would know how to handle it, not just when they were younger, because this happened when they were 8, 9, and 11. He had taken them on a weekend visitation, didn't bring them back for 18 months. I didn't see my children. There are a lot of mothers out there who had that weekend visitation and their children haven't come back. So how do you handle that? How do you handle it when your children come back and they have abandonment issues and they don't remember a lot of things, and they remember the bad things that the dad said about you, and now you have to strip that away to help them to understand that this is not who your dad says I am. This is who I am, and we have to get to know each other in a brand new situation. And so not having anybody's help or people blaming me that if he would have killed me, then everybody would have been okay because my life didn't matter. Or if I would have stayed on the West Coast and the people on the East Coast would still be alive. They blamed me and my children for everything, but we did not take it. And I told them that we're not going to be held responsible for their dad's crime. I even went so far as to take them to the funeral because I knew they needed to have that closure. Everything I did was for my children to be emotionally balanced so that once they got older and began to see the situation for themselves, they would know that I did everything that I was supposed to do as their mom, and I would not allow anyone to get in my way or take anybody else's opinion on how they feel I should raise my children when they had no idea what we were going through. So this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. There are many women that are suffering through this horrific time, and now domestic violence was an epidemic, but now it is a pandemic within a pandemic. And the resources are not there, not all the time. We're calling. I'm getting calls every single day last week, week before, men and women, all over the country, because resources are not where they're supposed to be. Some people can't leave because of a pandemic. It's just crazy. And so what we have to do is we have to remember those people who are in a domestic violence situation. If you have family or friends and they reach out for you for help, I don't advocate for anybody to go over there and say, what you need me to do? Don't do that. Don't do that. Ask them from the phone. Ask them, what do they need for you to do? Even if you just call just to check on them, text them, find out how they're doing. Don't leave them over there when you know that they're victims. We all know somebody. So if you know they're victims, check on them on a daily basis, just to let the abuser know that that person, man or woman, is not alone, and there are people checking on them. So thank you again for having me in this wonderful book. I'm so excited that it's a bestseller. I text my children, it's a bestseller.
That's so awesome. Wow. I mean, your story just, it's one of those stories where if you were anywhere in the DMV, living in the DMV area, it's a story. It's almost like that 9/11 effect. It's like we all remember what we went through. We all remember how we felt. I know for me personally, being scared to get out of my car at the gas station and pump gas because we were all looking for the white box truck, right?
Right.
It's just one of those stories where it just impacted so many people. But I wanted you to write about it from the perspective of how did you parent through that? Because like you just said, that was unprecedented. Like there is definitely no no handbook for that,
No
right?
handbook.
How do you do this? And especially when you say, you can't even reach out to people to help you because the people that you think are supposed to be there to help you are only wanting to capitalize on, your story and violating your children over and over again.
Right.
And so I'm so grateful for your yes. I'm so grateful that you said yes. And it's just such a powerful chapter for somebody to be able to see, like, how do we parent through tragedy?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's just, somebody out there needs that. And so I'm so grateful that you shared that in this book. And also I wanted to commend you for all of the work and the posts and everything that I see you doing for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Is something, near and dear to me as well. And I just applaud you because I see you working hard to get the message out and to keep,
Right.
to keep it on people's minds,
Absolutely.
And so thank you for that as well. And thank you for all of the work that you do surrounding domestic violence awareness.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for putting some of that in this book so that it can bless and impact somebody else's life. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So we're moving right along here. Next up, we have Teresa Dorsey. Dorsey coming in from Hawaii. I'm jealous. So welcome, Teresa.
Hello. Hey,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello.
Actually, aloha.
Aloha. Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Get it right, girl. Get it right.
yes.
Yes.
So I am Teresa Dorsey, and my chapter is Depression You Messed with the Wrong Daughter. So some of my story is when my daughter got to college, she was struggling but never told me
Oh,
or her
your
father.
connection is messing up.
My,
Hey,
can you hear
Teresa,
me?
your
Uh
audio is messing up, and so
huh.
I missed some of what you said.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah. Oh, I was getting ready to
Oh,
say, is
yes.
everybody frozen? You guys were so still.
You know what?
Okay.
The devil is a liar. All right.
Amen.
Is it good now?
Talk some
Yeah.
more.
It was.
It's still
Um.
like you're freezing
Can you
up.
hear me
You're in
now?
and out. We
And it
can
was
hear
working.
you, but it's going in and out.
See, and it was working fine. Oh my God. How about now?
Are you able to? Can we? Go. You got to talk some more.
Okay. How about now? Is that better?
Okay, go. Try
Okay.
it. Give it a
Uh,
try.
Okay. So my story is regarding when my daughter was in college and she was struggling mentally and sought out help on her own. And the way we found out was when we got the explanation, well, we got the letter in the mail from the insurance company. But it didn't start there. It actually started when she was around adolescent, transitioning to teenager. And actually, I had a conversation with her a few months ago and let her read the chapter. And she shared with me something that I had completely forgotten about. And one of the things that I had to take to heart was while dealing with my own struggles, I really wasn't sensitive to hers. And once I realized, oh my gosh, I need to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. But we were very fortunate because she initially started crying out for help in high school. And when you were mentioning on the first set of interviews, Kimberly, talking about your son, about the uh, inflicting pain on themselves.
Hmm.
Well, your son cut, my daughter burned
Oh.
with a curling iron.
Oh.
And I was,
Mm.
and the way I found out was through her counselor. And I'm just like, okay, so we really have to zero in on this. And it's been, it's was ongoing, but fortunately she was able to make it. She made it through high school. She made it through college. She graduated in her 4 years, and it's been a roller coaster. She's 31 now. She was she was 19 when it started, but now I actually see her really digging in and being an active participant in her own healing. Um,
Okay.
her and I would have conversations, and one of the things that she won't do, she said, "I'm not taking medication." So she's done heavy research and in her own, to do alternative methods. But it's one of those things where if I had known then what I know now, I would have paid more attention.
Mm.
And it's a battle, as every mom has talked about, with the struggle with with their children with depression. It is no joke. It is something that you will definitely go toe to toe with the enemy on, because one of my biggest fears when I found out that she was struggling with depression and anxiety was getting a phone call in the
Mm.
middle of the night that she had harmed herself to the point where she took her life. That was the biggest terror for me. So I just rearranged my life to make sure that that I checked on a regular basis, and if she didn't want to stay on campus, I went and picked her up, and or I hung out with her. But it's really just paying attention, and even when we are struggling ourselves, is to put our stuff on the back burner and really help our child to get their footing, and then even go as far as going through getting help as well alongside them. So I'm just praying and hoping that when people read my story, that they see that if your child is struggling, you just got to stay the course. You got to not just take over, but encourage them to have a say in what their healing looks like. And um, and I'm just grateful now that she owns her own business. She's
Wow.
doing life in a major way. I mean, she still struggles, but she knows her triggers and she knows how to respond to those triggers.
Amen. Wow. Just again, I keep saying it's just such a powerful chapter. Like, what was amazing to me is that several of you wrote about depression, right? And the experiences that you had with your daughters going through depression. But each scenario was so different, so I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, we have too many stories in the book on, dealing with depression. So the fact that there are, three of you, in this book that are talking about that, just goes to show you, how real it is and how many people must be dealing with it, and what that ratio looks like. And so for that, I'm just really excited that, this is going to be a resource for people who are in that struggle. And so, Teresa, I thank you for sharing, something so deeply personal as the others have as well, in order to be able to help others to heal and deal with these situations. So thank you so much for your yes. And you did a phenomenal job with your chapter as well. Um,
Thank you.
so I just wanted to backtrack real quick and just look at, just shout out a couple of the comments. Mildred, you're such an awesome mom. Wow, powerful. God has his hand of protection on you. Um, I love the open door you gave your children. So many times our children feel as though they can't talk to us. So yeah, so for you to say, you can talk to me and I'm going to tell you the truth, even if it makes me look bad, is huge. When I saw that in the book, I was like, wow. And then I like this comment made by Debbie, right? She said, Thank you for trusting us with your story, Mildred. People don't usually understand when you have to parent in front of television cameras and media. God bless your tenacity to get help for yourself and your children. So I thought that was nice too. And then somebody shouting out your chapter, Tressa, depression, you mess with the wrong daughter. Like that was such a powerful title. You guys are so amazing. And so next up, last but not least, I know AJ has a whole entourage waiting for her to come on. So they're like, lady, stop talking. Let AJ talk. So AJ, you have the floor because I know your supporters and your followers want to hear from you. So you're up, lady.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Kimberly,
You're
for
welcome.
just allowing me to be a part of the project. In the beginning, when I seen the list, my first thought was, oh, I'll write on parenting a child with special needs. That's my forte. That's my thing. And I think you messaged me and was like, oh, well, we got a few, So when the topic of depression came up, it was immediately frightening for me. Like I did not want to write on that, but God kept pushing me in that direction. And so, and it has been a very freeing experience. My name is Andrea Riley, and the title of my chapter is Mommy is Depressed. And let me get my tissue. I wrote on dealing with severe depression while being a parent. Not only being a parent, but being a single parent. Not having someone to come home to and say, I'm having a bad day. I can't do this today. But literally just you and the kids, And part of the hardest thing for me to deal with as a parent, looking back after God brought me out and through that journey, was really learning how much of a crisis I was in, and I didn't even know it. There's a lot of parts in the chapter that I was very embarrassed to write about, I think I told Miss Kimberly, I said, people are going to read this and say, why does she have kids? This woman is crazy. But I felt it was very important for me to be transparent because when I was in that place, I didn't even realize the crisis that I was in. And I thank God for saving me from me and saving my children from me back then, because it could have easily went another way. I think I made a post a while back about the young lady. There was a young lady who flipped her car with her kids in it, and people were calling her a monster. And I was like, y'all don't understand what it's like to be in such a dark place that you feel there's no way out. And you feel like I can't leave my kids here, so I'm gonna take them with me. It's not a good place to be in, but I pray that there's a mother out there, if they're going through that knows that it won't always be like that. You will come out of that, just keep looking. And one of the things that Prophetess, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I take part in a lot of spiritual and healing growth over these, especially over the last 2 or 3 years. But one of the things that someone said on I think it was a small group that I was in, was Prophetess Deonna Benson. I'll go ahead and say who her name is. See yourself out before you ever see freedom. And that, keeping that in my mind has honestly helped me kind of stay out of depression. I was part of a small group. I'm part of a small group now with my local church here. And a few weeks ago, while I was still deployed, we were on the Zoom and we were talking, and I said, y'all, it's been over a year, almost 2 years since I thought about suicide. Wow. For me, that is amazing. I tried to kill myself for the first time when I was in 8th grade. So that to even realize that it's been that long since I even thought about suicide was something that I could rejoice in. So just to the moms out there, if you're struggling, the number one piece of advice I give is get help. Get help. I struggled so long by myself. I struggled so long keeping it to myself. And the bad part was I have a huge family. who loves me, who would be devastated. One of the things my mom told me when I was in 8th grade, when she learned that I tried to commit suicide back then, she said, that is the most selfish thing you could do to your family. But when you're in that place, you don't think about that. You don't, you that's not even a concern. So just I say to the mothers, get help, get your baby's help. That was another thing that I talked about in the book is I had to forgive me for those times when I was a what I call public success, but a private mess, which means I was functional. I was out. I was going to work every day. I'm in a leadership position, so people see me as this well put together young lady and successful. And I would come home and I couldn't even cook dinner. I couldn't do anything but get in the bed and cry. So I just pray this project blesses mothers. I can't wait to read the rest of the book. I can't wait. There's a lot of things that I was able to relate to. I've been so inspired all day. I know that I'm going to get some more healing from reading the book. So I just say thank you. And I thank God for all the mothers. I thank God for all the support. And I look forward to working with you even more.
Amen. Yes. Thank you so much, AJ. Your chapter, it was just, I felt like it really needed to be included because a lot of people don't talk about depression. Like, what does that look when you as a parent are depressed? How do you parent your children when you're depressed? Like, it's just something that people don't talk about. Like you said, you were functioning, you were going to work, you were doing what you were supposed to do in a leadership position, but then you would come home and it was a totally different story. And so there's somebody who's dealing with that. And so I just know that your story as well is going to have a great impact to women who are struggling in that area. And I thank you for being brave enough to share it, because I know that was a scary thing for you. And so I applaud you for pushing past that and sharing your story. And you watch, like, the testimonies are going to be great, and you're going to see the other side of through, like you went through all of that, and watch how your life just blesses and impacts other lives. So thank you so much for being so brave and sharing your story. Yeah. Let's applaud AJ. Yay, AJ. As she stops her tears. Yes. Powerful, powerful stuff, guys. So thank you so much, ladies, for hopping on here and sharing about your chapters. To our viewers, thank you so much for continuing to hang out with us for the Mom and Me book launch celebration. We're coming down on the home stretch and we're all excited, getting ready for our mama pajama party. I'm probably gonna be passed out on the floor in my pajamas. But it's all good because they're gonna be cute though. But the time has come for another drawing. We can't get off until we do our drawing. All right, so let's see, what do we have now? Right now, you've heard these moms talk about some amazing things. And what you cannot see is that we are all wearing this cute little shirt, the Mom and Me, but you can't see any of our shirts. So all day I've been saying, nobody can see our shirts. But we have this cute little Mom and Me shirt. And so our next winner is going to get this shirt that they can wear. And also, when we're talking about self-care and how to care for ourselves in this, you get it's a $25 Happy Beauty card. And what that is, it has Sephora, Sally Beauty, Lord & Taylor, LA Fitness, Ulta Beauty, Spa Finder. So you can use it at any of those locations. So that's what's up right now. So let me spin the spinner and see who we come up with next. All right, is that enough? Should I go around a couple more times? Mix it up. Okay, here we go. Yay! Cheryl's got the pom-poms. Okay, I'm not looking. Make sure I don't have more than one. Oh, they're being stubborn. Hold up. Okay, I got one. Okay. Let's see who our winner is. Our winner, Lavitra Kiss Harris, and she was submitted by Lorraine. Yay! and she is currently actually writing her book. And so it is going to be out very soon, once I get off Zoom and go finish working on her project. So Lavitra Kiss is that belongs to you. So I already know how to get it to you. So you don't even have to inbox me. We're good. Thank you guys. So come back and join us for our next segment, which starts at, I believe, 3. And that's with our last group of authors, a powerful group of ladies to close us out as well. So it's Monica Thomas, my sister. I'm so proud of her. Yes. Tamara Gooch, who's also writing another book as well. Margot Wright Williams is going to be joining us, and Tamlin Franklin is going to be joining us. So make sure you come back here at 7:30 p.m. and hear our closeout of authors before we all jump in our PJs and have a party. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. Blessings. Talk to you soon, real soon.